Hey everyone, today I wanted to go ahead and cover the brand new details we have for Dragon Quest Champions. This is a brand new Dragon Quest game and something of a single player story that is becoming available on mobile devices. This one has already appeared in Japan, originally had an early soft launch for about 20,000 players or so. I believe now it's becoming available in the West. And 4gamer.net put out a little bit of a overview, kind of like introduction as to what it is that you can expect for this brand new Dragon Quest title, which is focusing 100% not necessarily on gacha, which is what you typically would expect for mobile games on Android or iOS, but instead is focusing on a first single player story. And that is what I think most players who are interested in checking this game out are gonna basically give it a chance if they choose to do just that. Going to be leaving a link in the description below for the 4gamer.net article. It's all in Japanese. I've done a little bit of translating to kind of get over to the most important parts. They simply mentioned that the headline, kind of like the main draw of the game, is that you have 3 playable characters and each one of them has their own stories, and the game also features a tournament and a PvP mode. You have the option to move around the field in a simple, action-based combat setup, where you take on enemies of familiar, faces that you've seen in other Dragon Quest games before throughout all of your battles. The biggest difference from similar games is that instead of shooting or punching, you have, and as you encounter enemies, it shifts more into a offensive or defensive RPG format. Not necessarily turn-based, but action turn-based. It's a little bit kind of like the Atelier Rises series, or maybe something you saw in the most recent Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's not necessarily full-on action, but you can certainly feel like it's action enough, as characters are doing moves on their own, but you can kind of tailor their attacks to do specific skills, power-ups, and abilities at the same time. More to the point, all of these characters are obviously designed by popular designers from the Dragon Quest series and the franchise, so a lot of the fan favorites are going to be making their way here. When it comes to the main story, you are playing the story essentially as the main character's protagonist called Hamit, or Hoimi in Japanese, and a sidekick slime called Elmia, or Mio. This energetic slime girl comes along with you on the original story, and basically something along the lines of your father is missing, or you're missing them. You are set to participate as a brave martial arts tournament to become a true hero, and that's essentially where the story takes off. You're not starting out to save the world or anything like that, which is interesting for a Dragon Quest game. The 3 party members customize themselves, or you get to customize them, through 5 different classes. You have the warriors, monks, martial artists, magicians, or thieves. So each kind of class will play a little bit different from one another, and armors will be representing that as well. So you can certainly deck them out. I believe some of the screenshots you do get to see that you deck out the characters in different fashions. At the same time, the story will progress to a certain point, and then after about chapter 3, they mentioned that the subjugation of monsters, as you take down monsters, more will become viable, and you can also train them if you so choose to. So a little bit of Dragon Quest, I believe Stories is what that game, or Heroes, I believe what that game is called, where you do get to bring monsters along with you. At the same time as you're exploring the world, you obviously have a massive arsenal of moves at your disposal. You can dash, you can attack, you can jump. You have skills that you can use for traversal, but of course also combat as well. And you'll also have markers on the field telling you kind of things, points of interest. Maybe there's a quest here, there's an NPC that wants to give you something, maybe go help this character there, engage with these enemies here, those kind of things that you have kind of grown accustomed to seeing in other RPGs, to kind of give players a little bit of a more focused approach, so they don't necessarily just wander all about. At the same time, you have options for auto battle, so if you don't wish to engage with manual controls or anything like that, just you can set up the battles to be automatically. And at the same time, you do have some sort of basic gacha options where you can raise, of course, your weapons from level like a 3-star, 2-star to a 4 to 5-star rarity, rainbow, rarity, those kind of things, triple S, all those kind of things you expect in gacha. But they do specifically mention in this article that they are a little bit dialed back. This is not the main focus of the game to just kind of get the most maxed out powers so you'll be able to take down the enemies. You should be able to handle most of them with just a typical, normal gear that you get through progression. You might end up needing some to be able to get fast kill times, which there is a leaderboards aspect to some engagements, but for the most part, you shouldn't be too concerned with that. The main focus is the main story mode. It does seem to follow traditional RPG tropes based on some of the things that they make mention in the article as well, because you have to keep in mind from the day one, and they mentioned that this was always meant to be a single player kind of like experience. This was a little bit of a result of Dragon Quest X's main focus or shift focus to online multiplayer, where they just recently released a Dragon Quest X single player story, but they wanted to make an online game still just now focusing on a single player story. At the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean you just have that type of content available to you. You can have up to 50 players battling through in the tournaments PvP type in real time. So you can actually go with your 3-party members, your 3-party setup, however it is that you have them set up, and just kind of start battling other players at the same time and have full-on access to PvP versus in a tournament format where the rewards, of course, are handed out. Better rewards are handed out the higher you end up in those rewards. You can make your way from bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, those kind of things. So that is one of the systems that they showcase a little bit of and they talk upon as well. You also have a chance of obtaining different materials, something called growth balls and or fruit seeds. These are obtained relatively end game, they mention, that will be also kind of permanently raising your stats. You can stack these for raising MP, HP, strength, agility, defense, resistance, those kind of things. So you'll be able to have that in your arsenal as well, and presumably endgame and PvP endgame will be tied to maxing out some of those as well. Once again, I gotta mention that I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for the 4gamer.net article that kind of gives a little bit of overview, introduction to what the game is all about. There's also plenty of screenshots there, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing more of this. As I started kind of making this video, I decided to download it myself and check it out and see what this is all about, because it's certainly a single player Dragon Quest experience, and I think all of us want more of that. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.